Hello, and welcome to Happy Ever After Party. I'm Sam Logston. Amanda Pierce is not joining me, but has contributed to this episode. And I'd like to start by saying, I sincerely hope all of you are okay. This week has been rough, not just in terms of work, but with everything being on fire. And it feels like there's so much accelerant going on that it's really hard to see the end of the flames coming down anytime soon. And the last time we wanted to take a stance on what was happening in terms of protests, Amanda and I decided to take a week off and not post anything in an effort for people to listen to Black voices, to listen to people who aren't white for a perspective. And this time around, I still want to encourage people to do that. And I still want to encourage people to listen to the people in their community. But I wanted to sit with Amanda and come up with a list of people that we like. A couple of non-white influencers, YouTubers, entertainers that if at the very least you're not sure what you want to do to help support people in your life and support people in your community, sometimes just going to alternative places for escapism can really help open your eyes. So whether it be beauty, whether it be actual political discussions, whether it be books, sometimes it's really nice to just take a look and see what's out there and get a fresh perspective on things. Even if it's not exactly political content, sometimes just being aware of the existence of other people and how they have to struggle in their life can change your mind. So what I'd like to do is start off with a couple of beauty gurus as suggested by Amanda. Because I do like beauty YouTube a little bit, but that's a little bit more her bag than it is mine. So Amanda suggests checking out, there's a Korean beauty YouTuber named Pony, and another Asian YouTuber called Bubs Beauty. Now, with Bubs, she said that even though, woo, got some thunder going on there. Bubs is awesome and positive, but not always active on YouTube, but is very active on her vlog channel. So, definitely a beauty guru, but has a little bit more to say than, reviewing Jeffree Star's eyeshadow palette. Maybe has a little bit more to say about Jeffree Star than that. Now, of course, Amanda also recommends watching Jackie Aina, who, if you've never seen that goddess of a YouTuber, I highly recommend, as well as Jaleesa Moses. All of these YouTubers are really great to watch if you don't just want to see somebody who is actively against racism, but who've probably been victims of it themselves. I think that that's something that when it comes to the people that I watch on YouTube, I think there was a point where I saw people who were just actively against oppression, but for a while there, it was looking very, very white. And sometimes you need to seek out the people that are affected by oppression to get the full picture, the full understanding, and even some valid criticisms of what actually works to stop it. If beauty YouTube isn't exactly your bag, there's a couple of people I'd like to recommend, starting with Andre from Black Nerd Reviews. while me and Amanda could probably get into an entire that guy with the glasses rant, I'm going to not open that bag today. We can do that at another time. That's like a dreadful pennies discussion right there. But Andre reviews all different kinds of pop culture things. He does all sorts of different types of medium reviews too. You know, not just like movies that are out, but also what kind of streaming platforms are coming out, why we should engage with them, how different adaptations of movies or kid shows compare to the old stuff. You know, are there films that he has seen that a lot of people have shat on that he really enjoys? Oh, yeah. And his style of narrating is fucking hilarious. So, I would highly recommend checking him out and watching, like, I know one of his newer reviews was of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That had me chuckle quite a bit. So I'd recommend that. There's also somebody that me and Amanda both really enjoy, and her name is Kat Black. She does a segment called True Tea, and boy, is it scalding sometimes. But I would expect nothing less than the hottest of hot tea from a sex-positive Black trans woman living in America under these current conditions. She is best enjoyed with a glass of wine or a really good, nice, relaxing cup of Earl Grey, whichever you prefer. And the cool thing about Kat is she constantly promotes discussion of her videos. If you have disagreements with her, or if two people were watching her video and they have very different interpretations of what she was saying, she's like, that's great that you disagree with me. I want you to talk about it. I want you to really flesh out those ideas and, you know, see where they're stemming from. Maybe there's things that I'm saying that I'm feeling. And that's important to distinguish from things that I know are factually true. So when you get into the more left tube area, it's sometimes hard to find things that critique leftist trains of thoughts or stereotypes. And if you're someone who really has trouble engaging with that kind of material, or just, I'm going to say it like it is, if you can't really understand why there is systemic racism still in America and how that translates to every facet of our society, Kat Black is actually going to be a really welcoming introduction to why those things are. Not preachy, but honest. And it comes from a very refreshing kind of narrative too, because it's coming from a person who does not claim to be an expert and who does not claim to actively want to change minds, but rather to open discussion. And I think sometimes when you're trying to understand more leftist issues and issues about social justice, it can come off as being very hostile. So as a good place to start, I would recommend watching a lot of her stuff. Some of you who listen to us probably already listen to Kat, and that's awesome. I'm actually about 2 videos behind on her too, so that's probably what I'm going to do after I'm done with work today, is is listen to Kat. There is a person who is on YouTube, but also on Instagram, who I absolutely adore. I have talked about them before, and that would be Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. Jessie reviews all different kinds of books that are out there, but they are constantly trying to read books that are intersectional. They're always giving themselves certain goals to reach for different kinds of narrators or different kinds of people who are represented in the books, which makes it really interesting and also way more fun, because when you don't really give yourself like a standard to try to read from different kinds of authors, sometimes you're just sort of stuck in the top 10 books of whatever's circulating, and it can get kind of stagnant after a while. So Jesse is really good at finding all these different recommendations for books I've never heard of, but have suddenly made it to my list. And there's a lot of talk of queer positive books on her channel too, which is super important. There's a couple of different organizations here in Pittsburgh that I think, because of some of the books she brought up, they now have like a whole new library for the kids that they work with on a regular basis. And it's good to see that stuff getting circulated. And if anything, it just sort of shows how the word influencer can really be true in some cases. So I highly recommend Jessie. And just in general, the world of BookTube and Bookstagram is full of different voices. So Jessie does something called Spilling Positivity, which is an unboxing video from Sipsby, but also paired with different influencers and booktubers that Jessie will give shout outs to. So if nothing else from Bow Ties and Books, watching the positivity videos can kind of open up your door to some different perspectives, especially if you're a fan of book reviews. So as far as YouTube goes, I think that's really all the people we recommend. There's a couple folks that I like to follow on Instagram. If you've been watching me and Amanda, if you've been listening to me and Amanda long enough, you'll know that we both sort of look to Instagram to look at the beautiful people in pictures just as a nice little distraction. And some of the people I love, there's a lot of different beauty gurus that I follow on Instagram who do all sorts of bizarre looks, but one person in particular that I need to give a shout out to, just because of queer positivity and because of how absolutely stunning he is. There is a channel Faced by Kareem, and Kareem's looks are so stunning. And I believe he and his partner occasionally will like go together to do like matching looks. So it's beautiful, it's wholesome. There was a session he did recently with the world's most gorgeous orange wig I have ever seen, and I want it in my life. But Kareem pulls it off, and I don't think I can nearly do as good of a job. So if you're looking for some good beauty influencers, especially some of the ones we mentioned earlier for the YouTube channels, go ahead and check them out on Instagram too. I know having like certain amount of followers and likes and engagements on Instagram make it a little bit more likely for those kind of people to be sponsored. If you're like a beauty guru, or just post a lot of pictures about makeup, having a certain level of engagement does make it more likely for you to get any kind of financial deals or advertising or something along those lines. So if you're not able to financially support any beauty influencers on Instagram financially, then sometimes just being an active subscriber and engaging with the content helps get them noticed. So people who can financially help them out are able to see them, recognize them, and give them the attention they deserve. One of the other people who I absolutely adore on Instagram is Malika Keeps Smiling. This is a Black Muslim Lolita cosplaying Instagram account. And I mean, like, the tag says it all. Malika does keep smiling. And everything from the parasols to the accessories, to the way the hijab coordinates with the rest of the outfit. Like, everything is so cute. And it's just a testament to how kawaii does not have a race. And I think it's important to kind of see somebody engaging with something that kind of has been known to be whitewashed. And if anything else, like, kind of have this be a jumping board into cosplay influencers in general who aren't white. It's a fun world. It's an engaging world. If you are like me and like anime, seeing people dress up as your favorite characters or characters you haven't even seen before but just have a cool aesthetic to them, it's just beautiful. And I'm going to start talking about the non-profits here in a second, but I just want to be very open about why I'm talking about beauty gurus and people doing movie reviews and stuff like that. And it's because probably not a lot of the people who listen to Happy Ever After Party, but probably some people in your life. When you're talking about something as complicated and as, well, brutal as police brutality, sometimes you just need to be reminded that at the end of the day, we are all human. And we all come from different backgrounds. So to lump a bunch of people in one group who are fighting for the same cause, it speaks volumes that these are people who may not find a lot of common ground on anything else, but can find common ground on the basic principle that all humans deserve respect. And there is not equality. That's something they can all agree on, no matter what they do for their job, no matter who they choose to love, no matter how they choose to identify. At the end of the day, people who are marching and protesting all believe that Black Lives Matter, and it's because that all human life matters. When somebody is being oppressed, their needs need to be addressed, and that's why Black Lives Matter. That's why we say that. So, when you're able to come across different influencers who like the same things as you do, sometimes it's easier to put injustice in perspective if you have voices you care about talking about the way they've been affected. So keep that in mind. If you struggle to understand why people are in a state of civil unrest. Now, before I sign off here, there's a couple of nonprofits I'd like to talk about. For Amanda's birthday, she contributed to the Innocence Project, which helps inmates who've been falsely imprisoned to claim their innocence, to use DNA evidence that was not available at the time that they were tried to prove that they did not do the crimes they were found guilty of. This is a huge deal because of the disproportionate number of non-white people in prison, and the way that the justice system just presumes that they are guilty until proven innocent. And if you don't like how I generalized that, I really don't like the way the system works and is stacked against people who aren't white. So there's that. They are an excellent group to contribute to, and along the same lines, so is End the Backlog. If you don't know what End the Backlog is, it kind of deals with a heavy subject, so just throwing that out there in advance. But End the Backlog is an organization that helps to provide support for all of the untested rape kits to finally get off of the backlog at police stations, because there is a huge problem with the backlog of untested rape kits, to finally bring justice to people who have had one of the most heinous of crimes inflicted upon them. And it should also be mentioned that the number of cases that go untested are disproportionately affecting non-white people. That's upsetting. And if you are infuriated by that, look up End the Backlog. Look at their statistics. You can even look into your own city's plans for dealing with their backlogs, depending on where you live. Sometimes that information gets released. Sometimes they do hold open councils addressing very specific issues in the city, and that is one of them. So if you're getting involved with local politics, that's something to be aware of. Two different organizations that I'm going to recommend people look into. One of them is Campaign Zero. And whenever I was messaging Amanda, I accidentally typed out Project Zero. And Project Zero has to do with security and programming on Google. So don't make that mistake. Campaign Zero is an organization dedicated to helping people understand the root causes of police brutality and recommending what laws to look for, what things need to be changed to decrease civilian casualties. So if you're somebody who doesn't like police brutality, if you're somebody who recognizes racial injustice, but aren't exactly sure how to help with the conversation and how to minimize the violence we see, that's a pretty good place to start. At the very least, just to get information about why it's a problem and what are the things that exacerbate it. And the very last nonprofit that I'm going to mention is one that we've mentioned here before and one that we've donated to, Sisters PGH. We are a couple of Yinzers. We are very proud of that. And we also know that our city can do better for the trans and non-binary community here in Pittsburgh that face homelessness. Homelessness is something that we're probably going to be talking about in the months to come due to the cascading effects of COVID-19. This is going to be a conversation that in the months to come is probably going to dominate a lot of other issues. Even if the virus itself is still active, we might see a spike in homelessness. So supporting organizations like Sisters and Brothers PGH are are going to really, really be pivotal in trying to help people who are most vulnerable. I've talked about them before. I'm going to put a link to their website, just like I'm going to leave links for everybody else. But I do highly recommend looking into your own city's nonprofits and different places that have a focus on more marginalized groups in your community, especially the Black community. I can really only speak for Pittsburgh on places that I know intimately, but Google's at your fingertips. You're listening to this podcast. You have the ability to type in a few words and see how you can make the world a little bit better. And same thing goes for the kind of medium you like to explore. If you want to know more people who are writing fiction and fantasy who aren't J.K. Rowling, Google is right there at your fingertips. Go ahead, use it. Use this resource to just go out there and explore and hear different perspectives. Even if you're not going to listen to the political commentary, that's fine. Just learn how to interact with humans that are different than you. I know that this was a different kind of happy ever after party than you were probably expecting, but I didn't want to be silent, and I didn't want to overshadow. And I feel like just bringing up different sources of entertainment, at the very least, is something that can make your day a little bit better in this untreated sewage of a year we've been having. So, from me to you, I hope you're all safe. I hope your friends, your family, the people you care about in your life are safe. And just remember, it may not be the end. It may not be happy. But you're always welcome to this party. Take care. We love you.